Hello and welcome to the Metal Pack Pod, the industry's leading podcast for the global metal packaging market. The Metal Pack Pod is brought to you by the Metal Packager, the number one digital resource for the global metal packaging market. With over 7,000 monthly users in over 150 countries globally, be sure to check us out on metalpackager.com. I'm your host Alex Fordham, and today we welcome Robert Bunting of Bunting Magnetics. Robert Bunting Jr is the third generation president and CEO of Bunting. Robert has been with Bunting for 16 years, serving in a variety of roles consisting of sales, project management, general management, and now president and CEO. Bunting is one of the leading designers and manufacturers of magnetic separators, metal detectors, materials handling, magnetic printing cylinders, magnets, magnet assemblies, and magnetizing equipment. Founded in 1959 by Walter F. Bunting in Chicago, Illinois, the company has remained family-owned and family-operated ever since. This podcast examines the future of Bunting and Robert's ambitions for the company in his new role. We hope you enjoy the episode. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Looking forward to an interesting conversation. I know we met at MetPack, and certainly that feels like almost like a lifetime ago now. It's been a busy few months, not least for yourself. With I know the business is currently celebrating. Was it 64 years? Bunting have been around now, so lots of stories to tell, and looking forward to hearing about your experience with Bunting, and also a look ahead to the future. So. Probably first port of call, if you could just perhaps provide a bit of background behind Bunting itself for our listeners who aren't perhaps not quite as well acquainted with the business as some.
Sure. Well, first thank you for having me. I'm really excited to have this opportunity. Really enjoyed having conversations like this because, as you said, Bunting does serve a wide variety of industries. So oftentimes one industry knows us for one particular item, but we have so many. Bunting as a company was started by my grandparents in Detroit, as you said, in 1959. So we our good marketing team posted our 64th anniversary. Always get excited about that, especially when we've made it to the third generation, which I am. My father just became chairman of the board in October when I became president and CEO. So I think we've made it to a step where a lot of family businesses don't make it to. When my grandparents started the company, it was after World War II. My grandfather and his best friend came back from the war, and the housing boom in the U.S. was in full effect. So lots of houses being built, and they specialized in making custom windows and doors with aluminum. So they had the access to cutting equipment. Fast forward a few years, and they were being asked by another company to cut these magnets, and they started to make more money at cutting magnets than they were doing the windows and doors. So fast forward a little bit further on, and they're making magnetic conveyors in the Detroit area for automotive. As the automotive industry kind of moved toward plastic components, they started making our drawer magnets for plastic injection molding. That was just then before I was born. The company was moved to Wichita, Kansas area, a little town called Newton. And that really pushed us into the food. And as we've grown and we've added products like for plastics and other types of recycling, always on the look for things that we could do with magnets. And that was where we got into the two-piece can industry with for aluminum printing. And then the three-piece can was kind of an obvious one because we were doing the magnetic conveyors, obviously, for filling and handling of those. So the trajectory that we're in now is a great positive, is that we're in lots of different industries. So when one is up, another can be down. And we've steadily grown to have 3 sites in the US and 2 in England.
So I mean, there's lots to unpack there. But before we get on to the perhaps the industry specific side of things, I'm just curious about your experience. I mean, third generation family business is fantastic, and it's great to great to see. I know, yeah, as you say, a lot of companies kind of fall down after second generation, and the kids, grandkids don't kind of have the same zest for business and the experience that their grandparents do. So I'm just curious. Have
Yeah,
you always been interested in the business, or have you kind of come to it late? It's just it's always an interesting
I
thing
I
to
really
learn about it
was.
behind the scenes.
I grew up and saw it and grew up in the company, and it was always my goal. And I realized, when I was in college, university, that this was an opportunity that probably most people, as successful as they are, to run a company is going to be something that probably isn't a reality. And so after school, I spent a few years in another industry, and then moved to the Chicago area where I've been since, and have held a variety of roles. But it was definitely always my where I wanted to end up. So it's as I was telling my wife a few months ago, yeah, I have my dream job.
Absolutely, and I think it was Richard Craddock, who I'm not sure you know, who's at Sencon. He said to me that kind of he ended up in the industry as a result of summer holidays, and holidays always ended up being at can plants, and sort of those seeing his father always kind of never off work, and you kind of grew up with that industry. So what better person to kind of drive on the next generation of the business by family members who have lived and breathed it over a period of time. So yeah,
Right.
what better people to actually drive that change. So, but no, that's yeah, really interesting to hear that background. But just one thing I did want to touch upon that you mentioned right at the very start of the conversation. You mentioned about the fact that Bunting now in multiple different industries, and I mean, I'm quite curious to see how the industry, the two-piece beverage can market, is comparing to other industries. I know I'm probably as guilty of it myself as many others. When you kind of live and breathe one industry, you can be a little bit linear focused, and not that the market has been spooked in the last few months, but we've obviously had explosive growth during the past few years. But
Yeah.
the industry has slowed down a little bit in the beginning of 2023. So I'm hoping that you can perhaps provide a more level-headed context, seeing as you guys are in other industries. So is it all doom and gloom, or is there a lot of positivity in the market still for the beverage can market?
For us, we've seen the same type of things we've seen in beverage cans in other industries, where I think you saw people now start to realize there isn't the issues with getting equipment, parts, variety of materials you need. And so the time where you had to carry that extra inventory, and you maybe, if you were unsure about a purchase, you had to make it quicker because of the timing of everything taking longer. I think we've seen it come back a little bit to the norm of planning for equipment, planning for upgrades, um, reducing inventory, especially. I don't think that's unique just to the beverage can market. Um, we look at markets, recycling, which is oftentimes driven by metal prices and other oil prices for plastics. We've seen that be a little more stable quicker. So we look at different industries as leading is those leading as a leading indicator for other products. And so I think we saw that, but I think the positive is we're seeing those still, when they need something, people are purchasing. But I think we're just coming off of that COVID effect that caused everything to just take so much time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you guys are probably well placed in terms of the fact that being in multiple industries, you can offset that uncertainty as well. And I think this
Yeah.
industry is certainly stable enough that yeah, if we're looking at it 5, 10 years, 15 years down the line, then there is a lot of positivity in the marketplace. And is that something, an observation that you guys at Bunting would also potentially share?
Yeah. I think anytime we talk about anything with food, we always say people have to eat, people have to drink. And so you can have spikes at times, but you never have typically the troughs, as low a troughs as you might in other industries.
Absolutely. And yeah, just want to move things on with in terms of Bunting. I know you guys have got a lot going on, and particularly at the moment with an exciting new announcement with new lead times as well. So if you could share that with us,
Right,
that'd be
right.
great.
Yeah, for specifically for the two-piece can industry and the decor, just us supplying the printing cylinders for magnetic printing cylinders for the decorators. We purchased a building a few years ago, and we are close to being 100% online with two lines for milling those products and then grinding those to the tight tolerances that are required by the industry. For the last few years, the standard for replacement or new magnetic printing cylinders has been close to a year. We've got that down currently to about 6 to 8 weeks, and our goal is to get that to somewhere in the 3 to 4 weeks, with the potential of certain sizes and dimensions actually partially stocked to even reduce that further. We know in an industry that timing matters because contracts are set out further. 12 months really is not going to work for most producers, most decorators. And so we are really attacking the market, and with that new building and those two lines in place, really to totally disrupt the market and be able to provide those cylinders as quickly as possible.
Are those lead times for industry specific, or is that throughout the Bunting portfolio?
The 12 months has been, by the few suppliers that provide those, and we've always tried to come in lower, which we have. We've expanded our product offering as well, so that we can provide any type of cylinder for any style decorator in those short lead times.
We interrupt this episode for a brief segment from our sponsors, PPG.
Packaging coatings from PPG draw on our company's 140-year history of innovation. We never stop improving our solutions to meet the evolving needs of can makers and the marketplace. That spirit of innovation results in technology like the cradle-to-cradle platinum-rated PPG Innovel Pro. PPG Innovel Pro is the latest enhancement to the world's #1 non-BPA beverage can coating. It still doesn't use any bisphenol ingredients, but experienced can makers report that it now sprays like an epoxy. Follow PPG Packaging Coatings on LinkedIn or visit packagingcoatings.com to learn more about why PPG is the coatings partner for can making excellence.
Okay, that certainly makes sense, and the new facility as well. So that if you could just provide a bit more context on that,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
it was exciting for us because it's in our facility in Newton, Kansas, and it was easier for us to acquire a small building and then get the two Mazak mill turns, which are fed by a robot, and that allows it to do longer runs, quicker, more efficient. Mazak makes a great product and has been a great partner through this process with us. Mill turns allow you to do multiple steps within that machine without having to load and reload or use a different machine. And then we have two Kellenberger grinders, high precision grinders that are also fed by robots to allow us to set those up and do either longer runs or do off shift runs. And that allows us, that's the big advantage for us being able to reduce the lead times, is to be able to do those longer runs without having to have the involvement of staff or extra people on hand.
Oh, so there's no that lead time means that there's no extra staff or inventory needed. So that's obviously optimizing the process further. So that does sound impressive. I mean, is this something that you has been kind of the offset of the COVID years where everything almost ground to a halt with supply chain issues and stuff like that? Or has this kind of been a long-term vision, or has this kind of been the offset of pressures we've seen during the last few years?
Well, this has been, I think, the success of the Bunting as a company, and a lot of the successes my father made to be able to put us in a spot where we could make an investment like this to meet what the industry is looking for. I don't think many folks in the industry were happy with lead times of 12 months, but with the few suppliers being able to provide this product, they were forced to live with it. Our goal is to be more efficient. Anytime you can be more efficient, you can hopefully be also profitable, but also give the customer something. And in this case, giving them the quicker lead times.
Absolutely. And I suppose in terms of spare parts as well, this is something that you guys are very much very proactive in as well, particularly when things I know it's all almost doom and gloom we're talking about, but no, it's not necessarily the case, because this industry is as stable as others. But in terms of when things slow down, there's obviously efficiency savings and optimizing equipment that's already there, so spare parts becomes even more important. So is that something you guys are mindful of at the moment as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think most producers and decorators will have, a spare set of cylinders on hand, but accidents happen, problems occur, and or even in the case of new opportunities come up. I mean, I'm drinking out of a tall stretch can, which has quickly become, one of the fastest growing can sizes. And I'm going to guess that a lot of the producers don't have all the cylinders readily available for those. And so that's an example of a market where we can quickly pivot and produce the magnetic cylinders to meet that market demand.
Absolutely. And just moving things on a fraction as well. I know something that we had a chat about in pre-recording when we mentioned about the fact that this industry is of fairly mature vintage, and it's good to see a young, fresh CEO in place as well. And is that something that you're looking to bring to the role as well, in terms of getting young people involved with the company? And certainly in the manufacturing sphere, it's always not necessarily seen as an attractive industry for young people to get into. So is that a driving force to hopefully sort of not totally change the business, because Bunting is obviously an established, well-respected name, but you bringing your own stamp to things, is that something you're looking to hopefully try and do within your role?
And definitely my goal is to get out and see all the different industries we're in. Trade shows give that great opportunity. So I was able to, as we said, get to MedPac. That was a great trip for me, because I was able also to get to Interpack, which is for the rest of our business on our magnetic separation and metal detection and X-ray. That's a great opportunity to see the other side of the food packaging market. As far as younger staff, one of the things we've got is a gentleman, Mike Wilkes, who's been with us for many years, will be retiring next year. And we've already created some overlap with gentleman, Troy Broadhagen, who in true Bunting fashion has actually worked for us before and come back. I have known Troy for many years. He worked for us previously in our printing division, has come back with a wealth of knowledge. But definitely, as you get different people involved, you get some different perspectives. He's already been very aggressive, obviously being in Germany, in England, Brazil, Mexico, and he'll be at some of the Asia shows coming up as well.
No, absolutely. It's good to get new people involved, and obviously it's cool for you guys that people that have been in the business before have wanted to return to Bunting as well. So that does sound really, really great for the company. Just one thing I wanted to touch upon, I know just for perhaps our on our listeners as well, is something just in terms of the metal packaging side of things. What is the percentage of your business that is kind of in the metal packaging sphere compared to other industries? Perhaps it just gives a bit of an overview on the size of Bunting, particularly within this market.
Goodness, I'm trying to think. I would say it's somewhere around about 20%. When we look at metal packaging, one of the other spots that fits into all this is the battery growth. Our conveyors that would handle the 3-piece cans handle the battery cans just as well. So when we throw that in, it's even a little bit more. But good thing is we see a lot of growth potential for us, especially in the 2-piece can with the new building and the new lines. We always see great demand For the three-piece can conveyors, those magnetic conveyors, we can do a lot of creative things as far as handling, going in directions that without magnets you really can't go. New plants, renovated plants, we've worked on lots of them. They're always very exciting because those are typically fast moving lines, conveyors, and magnets you can go upside down, right side up, and left right. So those are always great projects for us, and we like to see them.
Absolutely. And is there anything else you're looking to perhaps bring to the role at the moment, or are you still very much trying to get your feet under the table and observing the various industries you're in? Just curious about how you're perhaps looking to potentially, obviously not to play clairvoyant or put you on the spot, but it'd be interesting just to see your vision for the future of the company. It's always interesting to get these podcasts are useful for that, to get almost behind the scenes look into how different companies operate.
I really appreciate that question because it's honestly one of my most important, highest level things we're working on is a vision of that I've kind of called One Bunting. And as we've acquired, especially some of the magnet side of our business and that's the facility here in Chicago and in Pennsylvania, and then the facility in Berkhamsted, England, trying to integrate those companies a little bit closer so that we do things the same and much the same where on our plastics and metal recycling and plastic recycling conveyors, magnets, metal detection for food, that's Redditch, England, and then in Newton, Kansas, trying to make those parts of our business work a little more conjunctively. As anytime you grow by acquisitions, you have to work hard to integrate the companies to make sure you're doing the same thing. So the idea of One Bunting has really been one of my main foundational ideas of every decision we're making going forward. How to get our employees on one page, how to get the view the way that our customers see us. It's much easier for the two-piece can printing industry for us because that's solely made out of the Kansas facility, marketed throughout the world. But the others, we're working hard to have that One Bunting idea seen by everyone outside and as well as the employees inside.
I suppose it really is a challenge when you've got multiple facilities in different countries, different territories, to have one company essentially with everyone moving in the same direction. That's very tricky. Is there anything else you can share with us in terms of how you're going to be doing that? Is it going to be a case of working closely with teams and almost ensuring that everyone's working on the same page and bringing in sort of standardized formatting company wide, or is this something you guys are going to kind of work out as and when you develop in the coming months?
It's been a little bit of working on changing some structure items. It's been small things on bringing on some staff. We brought on a gentleman, Seth Bunting, who had some experience with a large tractor manufacturer, worldwide experience there to run our operations. We have strong GMs at each site. We also brought in Chuck Galusha, who's our global director of sales. So with them and some of the changes with marketing coming in the next few months, some of the things really is just the way that we create our vision, create our goals. Once you start to create that inside, it's much easier to be seen from the outside. And having good people always makes that easier. As we've grown now to a company of almost 250 employees, you really have to have stronger levels of managers, both high, middle, and low. But in the end, it's the employees that really help us and get on board with that vision. So I'm essentially pointing the ship in the direction and trying to convince everybody to get on board.
That definitely sounds like a good idea. So it's early days, but it seems like the company is certainly moving in the right direction in that regard. So congratulations on that. So just to finalise the end of the podcast, just always interested to hear. We're always talking about the here and now, but I think it's also important to kind of focus on the future as well. And overall, I know you're in different industries, but this is a metal packaging podcast after all. So overall, your overall take for the the container business and metal packaging business in general. Is there optimism there involved, or is there challenges along the way? I mean, yeah, just curious to get your overall take on things moving forward in the future.
I think we're in a spot where that in a lot of ways the industry is kind of taking a reset. I don't think that means that the long-term outlet has changed. It's just, um, COVID caused us to have a lot of panic moments. And I think for better, for worse, now we're trying to settle back to that historical norm. But the industry is full of large and small companies. And I think for the most part, you're still seeing positive growth going forward. Consumer demand won't change. And in the end, that's who everyone's end customer is. Being more efficient with packaging in a lot of ways will, I hope, drive the industry a little bit more. I think you'll see customer demands changes as things go along, but that's nothing new. There was a time when cans had pull tabs on them, and gosh, that was a horrible idea because every pull tab got lost. So demands like that of change and moving forward and being better, I think you've seen nothing but positive, and I just like to think this is maybe a reset for the next maybe quarter or two. And I imagine the same types of big growth in emerging markets will come back just as quickly as they paused for a little bit.
Absolutely, and yeah, that certainly sounds consistent with what we've been hearing. So yeah, fingers crossed that is definitely the case moving forward. So no, Robert, it's been an absolute pleasure, and wish you well in the One Bunting vision, and also moving forward as CEO. So it certainly seems like the company is in safe hands. So wish you well, and look forward to speaking to you soon.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, everyone.
No problem.